Making friends as an adult is both harder than you think it's going to be and more important than you think it's going to be. Whether you are in this pathway of, I'm still in my hometown, I know all the people, I'm surrounded by family, and I don't really have any friends that I call on. This especially happens with men. Or you are in a city, same thing, 20 years, you've been in that same city, you got the same circle of friends, or maybe you've outgrown some and it's time to start creating some new friend circles. Or maybe you're like me and I just moved to a new city, ran away from home at the tender age of almost 50 and kind of got to recreate myself. I kind of compare it to being in middle school and you go to high school and new kids from different places come in and you get to recreate yourself. You can continue to be the wonderful, quirky little nerd that you were in middle school, or you can decide to branch out and try some new hobbies and clubs and things and meet some new people. And that's kind of the approach I took when I relocated. I was really excited in the beginning. I was out making new friends. I'm pretty social. So I'm an extroverted introvert. So I can power up for a social gathering and meet people and talk to people and have a good old time. And especially when it's a longer term. So I was in this mastermind. I joined a mastermind. So I'm naming the things that were really important to me or instrumental in my pathway to creating my new circles. So I was in this mastermind and we would meet weekly and I got to know these people and they became family for me. They became the type of people that you check on when things are good. You gather, you have tea together, but you also check on them when they've gotten quiet. Right? Like that's the next level of associating. It's one thing to socialize and network, but it's another to find that group of folks that are so aligned that you care about their well-being and you'll go the extra mile. Even if you haven't seen them in a year, there's this text that goes out. It's like, hey, are you okay? What I had to learn about myself, though, is that my idea of friendships has always been one-sided. And yes, sometimes I complained about that. My friends only call me when something's wrong and people only, tap into me when they need somebody to listen and nobody ever listens to me. Well, guess what? I wasn't actually opening myself up to be listened to. I wasn't sharing. I wasn't leaning on people. I wasn't asking for help because that wasn't my actual identity. I believe that my value and my worth came from not needing anything, and it came from not being a burden, and my value came from being there, being a strong friend, okay? So I created this little box that I didn't enjoy being in. So again, moving from middle school to high school, I moved to this new city. I'm like, perhaps I should try a new thing. So I went out intentionally trying to make new acquaintances, new associations. And I have this one friend that I know through some other friends, and we happen to live in the same complex. So we would choose to go walking once a week. We'd go out, we'd walk and up the hills and down the hills and around the corners, and we'd walk a good 30 or 40 minutes huffing and puffing and sharing stories and talking about life and family. We had kids the same age. We talked about health issues, these kind of things that come up in a walk or in something consistent, a consistent meeting you have with someone. So that's clue number 2. The more you meet with people, the more you spend time with people, this is the tending that's really important in making and maintaining and deepening friendships as an adult. We got to be a lot closer. Like she was somebody that I would call and check on if things went wrong. So we had a really bad storm. And Category 4 hurricane plowed through our town, wiped out power, cellular connection, water. We were without water for weeks. It was awful. It was a nightmare. And day 1 after the storm, I'm sitting there in my living room and just kind of assessing the damage. I'm like, okay, I don't have power. How am I going to finish cooking my breakfast because it went out in the middle of the power, in the middle of breakfast, be cooking. And then I'm just kind of recalculating, like, how do I do life in this temporary span? And I hear this voice outside. And somebody's going, LaShonda. And I was like, is somebody calling my name? Because the city had literally gone quiet. With no power, with no, everybody's kind of stranded. There's trees down everywhere. Everybody's kind of just quietly home doing what I was doing. Until I hear my name outside my window. And it was my friend from my walking days. So, like one of the worst things you fear when you move somewhere and you're by yourself, like, what if a crisis happens? Who am I going to rely on? Who am I going to lean on? My homegirl came through. She and another friend of ours were down there just below my balcony hollering my name. Are you okay? They came to do a well check because they actually live closer to each other. So they walked up the hill to my apartment and we went out and just, it settled my nerves so much. What we were going through was bad enough to have to go through it, but to have people to go through it with you, to have somebody to walk with you back and forth to the pool and tote buckets of water to give you solutions on how you can navigate this. It was a game changer. And I tell this story because I think it's really, really important for you to tend to your friendships before you actually need them. I've seen too many people hit a crisis. They've got a death in the family, someone close to them, and they lean back on nobody's really here for me anyway. Or these people come and go. They're only here for a little while, and they don't really know what I need or right? All legitimate complaints. This does happen. But also, what happens when you've got close connections, friendships, chosen family, and of course your actual family too, is that they come through for you when you don't know how to ask for help or you don't know what you need. And that is the first thing that goes when you are in crisis mode. You don't know what to ask. Have you ever had somebody ask you, what do you need? How can I support you? If you're in the throes of crisis, your answer is probably going to be, oh, I'm fine. I don't really need anything. But if you've got friendships, people that you have lunch with once a week, every 2 weeks, people like the old men at the McDonald's in my hometown, they would meet up early morning and they'd have breakfast together, sitting out in the parking lot. That's their circle, and that's how they tend to that connection, is that they are consistently showing up for one another. Consistency is important. Even when maybe you don't feel like it, even when you don't have tools or grand ideas or whatever, to have friends that you sow into and they sow into you, and they learn to read you to know what you need when you can't ask for it, and you learn to trust them and open up to them and let them know what it is you actually need. Even if that thing you actually need is for somebody to just sit with you silently in the pause when you don't have words or jokes or entertainment to share. We need those people, and I would argue that we need them more as we get older. I am such a fan of these co-living movements that are happening, and like Golden Girls kind of living arrangements, because we really need community. And I'm really glad, like, I consider myself, a social person, and I know people, but I could probably count on one hand the number of people that know me. And that number, it's not growing. I don't want there to be a lot of people that I'm like opening up to, but I do want those connections to be deeper. I want them to be more authentic. I want them to be more meaningful, because we need community. So I hope something in this gives you some ideas or some motivation to even start the process. go on Meetup, find people that have shared interests, hang out at a bar and actually make eye contact with people, or a library. I mean, don't go to the bar if you don't drink. Hang out at a library, make eye contact, ask awkward questions of people walking by. But do start to build support around you before you actually need it.